better at my job every day. As a state senator, I got better each year. And as a congressman, I'm getting better each day. In Congress, experience counts. It counts on which committee you're on, if you're a ranking member, which I am now, of the Constitutional Law Subcommittee, or next year if you're chairman or a ranking member, and next year I'll have a choice of criminal law or constitution law. You have that choice. You get to speak sooner, and you build relationships, and you gain know-how. Last week, I passed an amendment to the appropriations budget of which I am extremely proud. We added $5 million to the program to test rape kits that have been left on laboratory shelves. Now, Roby, nobody else even introduced that amendment. Nobody thought about it. But we not only introduced it, we took the money from the Drug Enforcement Agency. Wasn't that a good move? The budget was going to give them a $35 million increase. And yet they didn't have to work in Colorado and Washington. In fact, they can ski somewhere else. That passed, and it passed because we had the foresight to introduce it, and we had the relationship with the appropriations, Republican appropriations chair, Frank Wolf, that accepted the amendment. The night before, he wasn't going to accept it. We talked some more, had a little conversation. He accepted the amendment. That's getting things done because of relationships, which is so important in Washington. In the last few weeks, I've had great successes in a bipartisan nature, getting things passed, but I've also been standing up for jobs and trying to get an infrastructure bill passed that's so important for Memphis. Roads and rivers and runways and rails. We are a transportation center. Those create jobs. Jobs is what Memphis needs. We're getting our Main Street to Main Street project together, which is jobs. And that's going to be completed across the Harahan Bridge. You hear about that, but most of the money is being spent on the mall for monies that otherwise the city would have had to spend to fix it up. And that's important that the Mid-America Mall gets fixed up, and that's part of the Main Street to Main Street project and creates jobs. Unemployment insurance needs to be approved. The Republicans have stonewalled it, but we continue to speak for it because people should have that unemployment insurance. In the worst recession that we've ever had, the George Bush recession that we're coming out of, but people still need recovery. And we'll continue to fight to raise the minimum wage to $10.10 with the earned income tax credit to get the family of four out of poverty. Now, Pastor Whalen mentioned a couple of issues that are going to come up in the campaign, and one of them is going to be about being local. Some people don't understand what the congressman's supposed to do. You're supposed to work with your local officials and highlight programs in Washington that your mayors need, that your community needs, and help them with funding. The determination on how to implement that funding is the governors and the mayors with the city council and or the county commission. Congress people don't administer. We legislate. We pass bills with money. The money comes down here, and hopefully they'll do the right thing. But we can't tell them what to do. If you want a political boss, we can bring back Crump. But I don't think we want that. You don't want a political boss. You want your local government people who represent you at the grassroots to have the tools they need to effectively help Memphis. And I do that. I work strongly with Mayor Wharton. I'll tell you a story. After we passed the money for the rape kits, Mayor Wharton had been on national TV on Roden Farrow's show on MSNBC. He was still in New York, and he called me, and I had a call that said, ID unknown. One of them kind of like, who's calling you? Well, I took the call. I take most of my calls. And it was Mayor Wharton. And he said he was sitting in New York with a bunch of women up there, don't tell Ruby, but they were singing my praises. A bunch of women in New York who were meeting on the rape crisis kit backlog, and they wanted to talk to me. That is effective representation that goes to Washington and affects the whole country and affects Memphis, Tennessee. But where there are local issues we can make a difference, Larry Miller, when your relative, Mickey Wright, was murdered and didn't get the right type of sentencing in state court, we went to Maya Harrison, and we saw to it that the FBI got involved, and he got convicted for life, sentenced to life, and that's what he deserved. And when Mo Money Taxes was ripping people off in this community, My district director came to me and said, don't mess with that. That's so-and-so's nephew. I said, I don't care whose nephew it is. They're messing with our people, and we need to work for them. And they're no longer in the tax business, and they won't rip off anybody. And when we had the check engine light program, I could effectively deal with the EPA. And I did. And check engine light is over. So when we can do things that are local, that make a difference, and you can make a difference in Washington, I do it. When the American Steamship Company wasn't getting its loan, and I got a call from the folks in the Riverfront Development Corporation, I made the call to Ray LaHood that got that loan completed and brought that company and that boat to Memphis. When I can be effective, I help locally. But when I can't be effective, I don't. When people want to give up the charter for schools and you know that it's a mistake, you don't get on the Titanic. You stay out of it. And now, because I didn't get involved in that issue, some people are upset and say I don't get involved in local issues. They shouldn't have got involved in local issues unless they were working for the lawyers who made millions and millions of dollars and have messed up our city schools. So I just wanted to get some things off my chest. I got a great relationship with the president. In fact, I got a personal note from the president that I value so much. He wrote me a personal note about my work on smart and humane justice issues that we share. I've worked on commutations and trying to help the commutations department. There are a lot of people in prison that don't deserve to be in prison, particularly for the crack cocaine disparity. Their sentences are void against public policy, and they should be given commutations.
That's right.
And on drug laws, our drug laws have been insane. The war on drugs is a failure, and to continue to operate, not going after heroin and crack and cocaine and meth and OxyContin, but going after marijuana is foolish.
That's right.
Some people will tell you in this campaign that I'm older. Well, tomorrow we're all going to be older. Hopefully, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But I have never lost my touch with the future and bringing issues to the fore. I was talking about marijuana reform in the 80s. Now, we passed a bill yesterday, first time in history, an amendment to the appropriations bill to say the DEA can't use any monies to enforce marijuana laws in states where medical marijuana is legal. That's the right thing to do for state laws. When I was in the state senate, I was the only person on one occasion or more not to vote for the constitutional amendment to ban gay marriage. Well, now everybody realizes, in states and judges and individuals and politicians, that it makes no sense. But I wasn't afraid to be alone and be the first person. And I wasn't alone to be the first person on gender issues. There were times when the pro-choice community needed somebody to come out and speak in Nashville, and nobody would. But I did. And I'll always be there on the cutting edge, and I'll always be trying to move this country forward to progress, liberty, and justice. I thank you for electing me Congressman and re-electing me Congressman. But this is a time when my experience, which is a lifetime of experience, pays off for Memphis. My relationship with the president and my knowledge of Congress. So I ask you to send me back so I can do more for Memphis. I can continue to build a better Memphis. Now, I noticed the other day, you know, my billboards and signs, I'm happy my opponent learned something from me. My billboards and signs say, building a better Memphis. Well, we can use those again because we're still building a better Memphis. And some of my signs say, get going with Cohen, or keep going with Cohen. And we've got those signs, and we can still use them in 2 years and 4 years because we're still going to keep going with Cohen. And my opponent was smart enough to copy us and have a campaign slogan that says, our next congressman. He can use those again and again and again and again. I tell you, that may be our next congressman right there. Them too, but they're a little bit too young to be the next congressman, to be honest. I want to recognize a few people here who I've known for most all my life. Representative Larry Miller, I served with for many years. Thank you for being here. Gordon Ball, who's a candidate for the United States Senate. We went to law school together. We served in the Constitutional Convention together. Cheyenne Johnson, is you still here? Cheyenne Johnson, who's our great assessor of property and my dear friend for over 35 or 40 years. Vote for Cheyenne Johnson for sure. Reginald Milton, if he survives the recount, which I'm sure he will, is going to be the best county commissioner that you could ask for. He's smart, he's diligent, he's thoughtful, and he doesn't get upset, and he doesn't call for recounts. And he knows how to get 25 legal signatures on his petition. He had the courage to run and take that on. He's had every handicap put in front of him, every barrier, but he's with grace faced them and carried on, and he's going to be a great county commissioner. Wanda Halbert, where are you? Right in front of me. Wanda Halbert, who I've known for years, great city councilman, and welcome her son Stefan, who worked in my office in Washington. It's nice to see you here too. Are there any other folks here who I've served with and or are elected officials now? Judge Betty Moore was here. Is she still here? Yes. Lee Harris, city councilman and next state senator who will show up. I think, some days if you say anything good about a Republican, people get upset with you sometimes now, which is not very smart because you got to work with Republicans. I've worked with Lamar Alexander because they still have blue slips, and to get our Attorney General Ed Stanton appointed, to get Sherry Littman appointed, to get John Folks appointed, to get Bernice Donald appointed, I had to work with Lamar Alexander, and he's worked with me on those judicial appointments. I read in the paper this morning, he said they needed to broaden their base. They needed to go out to constituents they don't normally go to, and that showing up is real important. He was speaking about you, Lee. You'll show up. Is there anybody else here who's elected official?
Judge Coffey.
Oh, Judge Coffey. Judge Lee Coffey. Yeah. Appreciate Judge Coffey for being here, an outstanding criminal court judge running for re-election. And if there are other candidates here, I'd like you to hold up your hand and identify yourself and call out your name. Who's back there? Danny Kale? Eating a hot dog. Running for judge. Dan Michael? Good to see you. Running for juvenile court judge. Who else is here?
Coleman Thompson.
Coleman Thompson.
Democratic nominee.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
I am Lamar Withers, running for state executive committee.
Nice to see the Withers family here. We've been friends a long time.
Larry Graham for U.S. Senator.
Yes, sir.
Alicia Howard, running for criminal court judge, Division 6.
Thank you for coming out. Dwayne?
Dwayne Thompson, State Representative, District 96.
We've been together for a long time. Who's way back in the back? There's a hand.
Mikel Lowry, Division 29.
Mikel Lowry, who is a part of a great family. Myron was going to be here today, but had a medical situation. Myron Lowry, like Ken Whalum, and I have been supporting each other for years. Myron Lowry is a great city councilman. He's on board, and his son is a great carrier of that Lowry name. Julie Bird.
Running for Circuit Court Division 1. Leanne Dobson, running for Circuit Court Division 3.
Senator Wooten, Circuit Court Division 8.
And if Van Turner here, you're almost elected. Congratulations, Van. County Commissioner. Who's back there? Welcome. I think we covered everybody. I recognized Judge Moore earlier. You missed it. But I didn't recognize the billboard. Betty Moore's been my friend a long time. Thank you. I need your help. I need your support. And I need your vote. This election will be dirty. Every morning I get up and I look forward to August the 8th. Because I know I'm going to see some stuff in the next 2 months that I've probably never seen. But I'm prepared for it. My team is prepared for it. We're going to run on our record. We're going to run hard. We're going to win with big numbers. And we're going to show them that people are going to keep going with Cohen. So come back to this headquarters. Volunteer. Spread the word. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's keep going. And anything I can do, you let me know. Thank you very much.